So as for our first prototype, the first step was to research different kinds of tents online. And the second step was to make sketches of top, bottom, and side views of certain designs. And we built a quick low-fidelity prototype based on one of the designs each, using materials like straws, tape, paper, construction paper, and tissue. So these are our three models.
So for our second prototype, we took one of our first prototypes design, mainly this one, because it was easier to make and more structurally stable, but we also used ideas from this one with the pipe cleaners reinforcing the straws to make our second prototype design. Our second prototype structure was mainly made of stronger straws with pipe cleaners connecting them and reinforcing them. And then after we built the structure, we drew the layout of the tent onto the fabric, cut it out, and used a sewing machine to sew it together to create the cover for the tent. The main advantages of working with fabric is that it is more flexible, more durable, and somewhat more water resistant than the material we used for our first prototypes, which were tissue and paper. And so in general, it was just a lot easier to work with and more manipulatable.
For the third prototype, we started off with the same design as the second prototype, except instead of using straws and pipe cleaners, we used PVC pipes and PVC joints. Due to accessibility of the materials at the time, we did have to adjust our final design for the third prototype. Existing joints only worked with 90-degree angles, and since our final design had to work with angles other than 90 degrees, we ended up cutting some of the joints and gluing them together and duct taping them so that they would create a design that worked with us. After creating the joints, we cut some of the PVC pipe and put our structure together to create the skeleton of our tent. We then drew and cut out the four sides of our cover in fabric and used a sewing machine to sew the four sides together. After that, we created a door with Velcro so that you could enter and exit the tent. Finally, we used binder clips and zip ties to hold our cover to the skeleton of our structure, finalizing the third prototype.
So as we talked about before, one of the biggest challenges we faced was getting access to certain materials. On some days, the door to where the PVC pipes and joints are was locked, so we had to change our model.
So, in order to deal with that, we cut some of the 90-degree joints in half. The 90-degree joints were the only joints we had access to, and then glued them on to the 180-degree joints to make the joints for our final design here.
Our final and greatest challenge was probably using the sewing machine. In most cases, the sewing machine would give us negative feedback or not even sew at all. So learning how to use and work with that machine was definitely a process.